2024. And today we are holding our annual meeting of the State Board of Equalization with the county assessors. Ms. Cicchetti, if you would please call the roll.
Good morning, everyone. Chair Lieber,
Here.
Vice Chair Gaines,
Here.
Member Vasquez,
Present.
Member Schaefer,
Here.
Deputy Controller Emron.
Present.
A quorum is present. We have next welcoming everyone to our annual Board of Equalization meeting with the county assessors. This is really one of the highlights of our year. And I think what it most signifies for us is the close working relationship that we have with the California Assessors Association and with each of our assessors. And so we're so honored to have you here today in Sacramento, and especially in the brand new Maylee State Office Complex. It's a beautiful, very energy efficient, state-of-the-art building. And we are so pleased to be the first agency holding hearings here. And so this is our first meeting with the assessors today, and we could not be more pleased to have you here. So thank you for coming today. And our first order of business is our roll call of assessors. Ms. Cicchetti will call the roll. And we ask if you're present, please respond so that other participants in the auditorium can hear that you're present. And we're also going to be asking that you, as your name is called, that you proceed up to the stage of the auditorium, to my right, your left. And we will have someone there to assist you to come up to arrange everything for our group photograph so that we have the chance to memorialize this occasion. And Ms. Cicchetti, if you would please call the roll of assessors.
Good morning again. We're going to do them in alphabetical order, just of the counties, just to kind of let everybody know how we're going to actually do this. All righty. Alameda County, we have Fong La. Alpine County, Donald O'Connor. Okay, thank you. Amador County, James B. Rooney. Okay, come on up and get lined up for your picture. You could be the first one.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Yeah, you never know, right? Okay. Butte County, Alyssa Douglas. Calaveras, thank you. Calaveras County, Laurie Durham. Colusa County, Arnold Gross Jr. Contra Costa County, Gus S. Kramer. Del Norte County, Jennifer Perry. El Dorado County, John DeVille. Fresno County, Paul Dictus. Glenn County, Cindy Perez. Humboldt County, Howard Lahai. Thank you. Imperial County, Robert Menville. Inyo County, David Stottlemyre. Kern County, Laura Avila. Kings, come on, yes, thank you. Kings County, Christine Lee. Lake County, Richard A. Ford. Lassen County, Nick Siglio. Los Angeles County, Jeffrey Prang. Okay, thank you. Madera County, Brett Frazier. Marin County, Shelley Scott. Mariposa County, Vincent Kehoe. Mendocino County, Katrina Bartolome. Merced County, Matt May. Modoc County, Christian DePaul. Thank you. Mono County, Barry Beck. Monterey County, Sochi Marina Camacho. Napa County, John Tutor. Thank you. Nevada County, Rolf Kleinhaus. Orange County, Claude Parrish. I saw Mr. Parrish today. Placer County, Matt Maynard. Plumas County, Cindy Froggatt. Riverside County, Peter Aldina. Sacramento County, Christina Wynn. Thank you. San Benito County, Tom J. Slavich.
You're always here, I appreciate it.
Okay, San Bernardino County, Christopher White, Wilhite. San Diego County, Jordan Marks. Okay, thank you. San Francisco County, Joaquin Torres.
Present.
Okay, thank you. San Joaquin County, Steve J. Bestoridis. Bestoridis. San Luis Obispo County, Tom Bonadero. San Mateo County, Mark Church. Santa Barbara County, Joseph E. Holland. Santa Clara County, Lawrence E. Stone. Santa Cruz County, Sherry Thomas.
Present.
Shasta County, Leslie Morgan. Thank you. Sierra County, Laura Marshall. Siskiyou County, Craig Kay. Solano County, Glenn Zook. Okay, thank you. Sonoma County, Devi Marie Proto. Thank you. Stanislaus County, Don Gakel. Sutter County, Todd Retzloff. Tehama County, Burley Phillips. Trinity County, Shanna White. Tulare County, Tara Freitas. Tuolumne County, Keena Whitman. Ventura County, Keith Taylor. Thank you. Yolo County, Jesse Salinas. And Yuba County, Steve Duckles. Thank you. That's the end of the list. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I always love the calling of the roll of all of our 58 counties and thinking about the unique attributes that they have and how beautiful and powerful our state really is. So we're going to go ahead and have our photograph now.
Just a few things, logistics.
Okay, almost there, but let's see. All right. So, gentlemen down in front, can I have you not take a picture just for a moment? Okay. And as I want to
Did you get you guys a better camera?
take a few here. And, 1, 2, 3. Say BoE. BoE County.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3. So go ahead and stay in that position. But don't move. We're gonna get the virtual folks on behind it. So just a moment.
Again, everybody who's virtual, please.
Can I have you announce other? For those on virtual, to go ahead and turn their cameras on.
For the folks that are on the virtual screen, if you'd like to turn your camera on, we'd like to get a shot of you that we can blend into our photograph.
That's something better. That's probably what we'll get. 1Q17, and 1Q85, and a couple more here. And say BoE. Accessory.
What happened to cheese?
One more here. 3, 2, 1. All right, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, now we're going to
This is the FBI.
Okay. Oh,
You know what? I see you. Which county? Oh, thank you.
Dean, tell Dean I've got the lectern mic on.
Generally, very few state agencies have received, so we're on the outside.
thank you to everyone for coming up and participating. And we'll go now to our greetings and introductory remarks by each board member. And I'd like to start with our Vice Chair Gaines.
Thank you so much for each of the assessors who've made it today and those who are joining us online. It's a very exciting day in the sense that it gives us an opportunity to collaborate with you and to problem solve together. If we take a look at the history, I'm just reflecting on our service at the BoE. We've gone through some tumultuous times, and we've had some big challenges with even attempts to eliminate this board, which I see as just critical in terms of an agency that has basically a tax board, but also a property valuation board, and plays a key role in the state of California. And we've got a great history. And I think we've maneuvered through these challenges with a really adept team. And we've had great leadership. And I don't want to name particular names because it's really been the whole team. And I just want to take my hat off to their ability to find the right talent and draw the talent here. And I think it's a new beginning. And it's interesting how things have shifted because early on when we had the appeal process, I think the property aspect kind of took a smaller role. And now that's been elevated, and I think that's been good for the assessors. It's been good for the BoE. And I think we have an opportunity to look at if you take a look at the BoE and our constitutional duties, some of those duties grew beyond our constitutional duties. And I think there's an opportunity for us to work on a collaborative basis with the legislature in determining what those may be. So welcome and thank you.
Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for participating. I know many of you are coming, from distance, all the way down from San Diego up to our northern border, and just wanted to welcome you all here this is the 58th, I think I understand, annual Board Assessors Meeting. And I think prior to that, I guess it would have been the early 66. I know assessors and the board was meeting, but not on an official or an annual basis. And I just wanted to thank you all for coming out. I think it's been great. I know when I was the chair, we really had some real good interaction with you, especially at the beginning. And several of you stepped up to the plate, not only to help us, but to support the need for an elected board. And as a result of that, at least this last year, we were starting to get some real good positive responses from the legislature, even from those that were on the side of eliminating this way back in the day in 2017. So, but most of it came because of the cooperation and the partnership we had with you folks. So I just wanted to publicly thank you all for your efforts and your time and energy on that. And moving forward, just wanted to thank and congratulate our current chair, who will be finishing up at the end of the year here, Ms. Christine Wing, and looking forward to the changing of the guard, which I guess will take place at the end of the year with the new assessor, my assessor, actually, Jeff Prang, and looking for nothing but good and positive things in this year to come. Hopefully, and I know many of the issues that we've been working on, especially with you and other stakeholders, some of those things we haven't been able to resolve, but hopefully this next year, we'll be able to get back into those issues and hopefully come up with some good resolutions that'll make it more positive for you as the assessor and us sitting up here in Sacramento as well. So I wanted to thank you and welcome to this new facility we have here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very impressed that 16 of our 58 assessors have been able to be with us today, and maybe there'll be some more show up by lunch. I think it's important that you spend a little bit of your life with us and so we can interact. And I'm so impressed that I would ask that we give a 5% hazardous duty pay increase for each of you who come to Sacramento, and to encourage the others to come to Sacramento. I'm sure there'd be some support for that. I want to apologize to you for the impatience of youth that I have. I'm always busy and want to do it now. I am the oldest constitutional officer in the history of our government, but I'm not going to let that slow me down a bit. I am very proud of our San Diego assessors, Jordan Marks and Ernest Stronenberg, who, as you know, was legendary. I ran against Ernest Stronenberg back in 1978 for the Board of Equalization, and I actually beat Ernest Stronenberg in San Diego County, but he beat me in all the other counties and won and went on to a career that we are still saluting and in awe and respect of. And I meet regularly with Jordan Marks. I meet regularly with Claude Parrish. I'm so happy to see him here today. I go to Los Angeles and meet with Jeff Prang now and then. I was at an event with him earlier this year. I'm just very impressed with the quality of the people that are doing the assessor's job here. It makes our job a lot easier. And again, I thank those who showed up very, very much for being here, and I hope to see a few more of you by lunchtime. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Amron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to everyone. On behalf of Controller Cohen, it's certainly an honor to welcome you all to the Capitol. First, I want to recognize outgoing CAA President Christina Nguyen. I know you still have quarter four left, but it's just been an absolute pleasure to work with you. And thank you for always showing up for this board. And also big congratulations to Los Angeles County Assessor Jeffrey Prang and your whole team. I understand the representative is here. You've all always been at the forefront, not only in California, but nationwide. So literally looking forward to working with you too. Today we honor tradition as the historic and sacred relationship this Board of Equalization and county assessors hold together. It dates back well over 50 years and grows stronger each and every day. I had the pleasure alongside Controller Cohen to travel this great state and join you all, whether it be in Pismo Beach or Lake Tahoe or San Diego. It's always been a treat and a pleasure. I'll be seeing many of you just in a few weeks in San Luis Obispo County. And so in 2024, this board has worked tirelessly to administer California's nearly $90 billion property tax system while simultaneously addressing cost of living issues, solving the homelessness crisis, and providing relief to our veterans and first responders, and carving a way into a greener future. So even with all these hurdles, there's optimism and hope. We're forging a path forward alongside the assistance of our great executive director, because our local schools, our governments, and special districts are counting on us. Think about the children, the future generations of Californians who want to continue to call this place home, who want to live the California dream like I'm living it. We do that work for them each and every single day. So on behalf of the residents and property owners of the state of California, I want to welcome you all to this beautiful auditorium, and we're going to have a great day. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back.
Thank you. And we'd like to go on now to greetings and introductory remarks from our Board Executive Officer, Yvette Stowers.
Good morning, Yvette Stowers. Good morning, Chair Lieber and honorable members. I am Yvette Stowers, Executive Director for the State Board of Equalization. I'd like to recognize the Honorable Christina Nguyen, President of the California Assessors Association and the Sacramento County Assessor, and honor the Honorable Jeff Prang, President-elect of the California Assessors Association and the Los Angeles County Assessor, and thank all of the 58 county assessors for your participation today. I want to take a moment to thank Assessor Nguyen for almost 1 year's service as the president. It's been a great pleasure partnering with you. I also look forward to working with Assessor Prang and his team as he takes over as the president of the CAA. The annual meeting with the county assessors provide an opportunity to meet and discuss matters relating to property tax administration. We have the opportunity to discuss how we can have uniformity and look at the various tax procedures matters throughout the state. This meeting provides a formal and informal dialogue between the county assessors and the board members to discuss concerns and common goals, formulate strategies to achieve them. I look forward to today's dialogue as it will assist us to identify and agree on shared priorities for 2025, after which we can work together to move forward on achieving our common goals. And finally, I just want to take the moment to briefly thank Chair Lieber for sponsoring and organizing the lunch for the assessors and board following today's meeting. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. And we'll go on now to California Assessors Association greetings and introductory remarks from the Honorable Christina Nguyen, President, and Sacramento County Assessor. Thank you for being here once again.
Good morning, esteemed members of the board, fellow assessors, and all guests. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. It is an honor to address you all as the president of the California Assessors Association and to represent my colleagues at this important annual meeting. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to be here and for the continued partnership between the Board of Equalization and the California Assessors Association. This 58th annual meeting, yes, 58 years, is mandated by law, but is much more than a formality. It serves as a crucial forum for fostering communication, exchanging ideas, and aligning our efforts to ensure that California's property tax system remains fair, transparent, and effective. As assessors, we are entrusted with the vital responsibility of ensuring that property assessments across the state reflect fairness and equity. We rely on the guidance and leadership of the board and staff to help us navigate complex legislation, implement new policies, and respond to the unique challenges facing our counties. I speak for all assessors when I say that the board and their staff support and partnership are essential to our success in fulfilling our duties. This meeting offers us a chance to reflect on the challenges we faced in the past year and to prepare for what lies ahead. Whether it's responding to impacts of changing economies, natural disasters, implementing changes like Proposition 19, or leveraging new technologies to enhance our efficiency, we are committed to adapting and growing to meet the needs of California's diverse communities. I look forward to engaging in the discussions today and working collaboratively to ensure that the work we do remains fair and beneficial for all Californians. Thank you again for having me, and I look forward to a productive and meaningful meeting.
Thank you so much. And we so much appreciate your partnership with us and your willingness to always pitch into the vital conversations that we have. So thank you. And we have Mr. George Reinke, who's here representing Assessor Prang. If you'd like to make a few remarks on his behalf, I think we may be surprising you, but
Madam Chair, members of the board, on behalf of Assessor Frame, look forward to working with all of you in the upcoming year.
We'll just have you push that little button.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
We have a great team together to work with you this year on any issues that come up, and Assessor Prang regrets that he couldn't be here this morning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to the year ahead and to working with you and Assessor Prang as well. And now we'd like to open it up to assessors to speak to us on whatever topic you'd like to start off the program. And I do have a comment card. It's not necessary that you fill out a comment card today, but we're honored to have a comment card from the Dean of the California Assessors, Mr. John Tudor from Napa County. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Lieber. I regret that I missed the first 21 of the assessor board meetings, but I've been to the 37 most recent ones. And it's been my tradition to come up. I've been through all kinds of controversies and wonderful times with members of the board over these 37 years, but there's been one constant, and that is the incredible nature of your staff. We and I have had a wonderful relationship through thick and thin, political battles, whatever it is, with the team that supports you. And I just want to come every year and remind you and remind them how important they are to how we perform our functions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, and we really agree. We were able to hear a presentation yesterday on all of the great achievements that this agency staff has been able to make since 2017, and it really is prodigious. So we really appreciate your partnership with us as well as your recognition of our outstanding staff. And are there other assessors who would like to come up and speak at this time? Please, Mr. Parrish, Assessor Parrish from Orange County. Thank you.
Well, thank you for everything you do. And, we have to keep an eye on our very good friends, the legislature, that they don't accidentally want to eliminate the State Board of Equalization. And they don't realize how important it is and how much history there is and how much you help the assessors. And I can remember in the old days when I was on the Board of Equalization and some of the assessors were unhappy with us. But now it seems to be we're with you, I'm with you all the way, and we want you to have the authority that you should have. And I, for one, will do everything possible to restore that authority if possible. And I support each and every one of you. Thank you for the time that you've given me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we really appreciate you participating with us always and always being available as a source of information. Thank you. Any other assessors who would like to say whatever is on your mind? Please.
Well, good morning, Chair Lieber, and thank you all. Joaquin Torres, Assessor for the City and County of San Francisco. Just two items that I know are, one, to pay attention to, just the growing rumblings, concern, frustrations that many homeowners have, certainly in San Francisco County, but I've heard anecdotally up and down the state as well related to Prop 19 in relationship to intergenerational transfers. And just want to continue to highlight that as an issue for policy discussion to revisit is a hope that we have. Certainly in San Francisco County that I've been hearing from my constituents. Don't know where BoE will be on this, but I know the continued conversations around policy changes, advocacy work that we can do to continue education about the changes of Prop 19 have brought specifically for intergenerational transfers continues just to be something that we spend time on. And then secondarily, of course, just the guidance that we'll be looking to for the BoE, in particular as the growing conversations around housing production and the methods and tools and policies that are used to support it to address the affordable housing crisis that we have in California is certainly something else that's on our mind, just to flag that as a topic for future discussions that I know that will be of import to us in San Francisco and at our continued conversations with all of my colleagues, discretion of the chair and the incoming chair this coming year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yes.
We're both Jesuit educated, right? Jim Rooney, Amador County. I wanted to kind of state something that I've always thought, and that is, of all the elected officials in all counties, the county assessor affects the residents, the property owners, the taxpayers, more than any other office. Obviously, the sheriff has a big effect, the DA does, but almost everybody pays property taxes. And if you don't pay property taxes, your rents are affected by property taxes. We really have a big effect on counties, on the residents. The thing that I want to express is, on behalf of small counties, we don't have the resources, oftentimes, to do things and, well, we want to make sure we're doing them correctly. We don't have the resources like a counsel, our own personal counsel, our own personal analyst. We really have small staffs. My staff is 11. And the reason I bring this up is because we really depend on the Board of Equalization for assistance. The large counties with their resources, they can do more than we can do. And when it comes to research and analyzing of revenue and taxation and procedures, we really do depend on you. And I want to remind you and the legislature that you're very important to the whole state of California because of the resources you can provide, especially to the smaller counties. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we'll accept that gratitude on behalf of our excellent staff. And I would say that we're very mindful every day of what a treasure we have in our professional staff throughout the agency here, and a special highlight to David Young and Glenna Schultz and others who are really the keepers of so much knowledge for California. So thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Well, going once, going twice. And we'll go on now. We won't take our break until after the next item, if that's acceptable. And we'll go to our Assessors Association recap of 2024 and priorities for 2025. And this will again be Assessor Nguyen presenting on this item.
Oh, it's still on. Great. Okay, so I just want to thank my colleagues for coming forward to express their concerns, and I echo their concerns and support them in everything that they said. So appreciate that very much. And, 2024 has been a very eventful year. There are so many things to talk about, but I picked just a few, and a few that I think are probably some of our priorities, but maybe some of the more interesting topics as well. And they kind of lend into maybe what we can think about for the coming year. But of course, we've already heard someone talk about a Prop 19. Prop 19 remains atop of everyone's mind. We're still implementing, and we received some funding from the legislature to build a portal, and I'm happy to say that that portal is progressing. And, we're hopefully going to be releasing it for use in 2025. So you're going to be hearing more about the portal. And when the governor signed AB 1879, that enabled us to utilize electronic signatures on all BOE forms. So that's going to be a big help for our portal, but it might help us in other ways as well. So progress is being made. But under Prop 19, there are some things, and it was brought up about inheritance. There are some administration concerns to really think about. And it's really going to come to the forefront as time goes on because people are just now starting to feel the effects of Prop 19. And one thing is when we talk about inheritance transfers, a lot of times this comes about when someone passes away. And a lot of people go through probate. And so probate can take a long time. And this rule where the heir has to make the property their primary residence within 1 year, they have to move in and occupy it. A lot of times that doesn't work out very well with probate. So we're starting to see people not be able to get the benefit because of the situation they have with probate. So you're going to see this coming up more. And I think potentially there could be some guidance that could come out for assessors regarding dates of when does the clock start ticking? Is it really when they pass away, or is it when probate makes a determination? So I think we're going to need some help there. And also the move-out penalty, which is probably one of the most pernicious parts of Prop 19. This is where you've qualified, you moved in, you get the benefit, but then a few years later, you have to leave the property for whatever reason, rent it out, you have to move away. The property is reassessed at that time. And so that often leads to a large increase in the assessed value and therefore a large increase in the tax bill. So we're starting to see that happening to people now, and the impact is not beneficial for them. So let's see. Legislation. You're well aware, this year we tracked over 100 bills that could have potentially impacted us, and this is really driven a lot by the housing crisis, but we saw topics ADUs, welfare exemptions, low-income housing, possessory interest, tax delinquencies, disabled veterans exemptions, low-value ordinances, among others. Now, sometimes assessors and BOE may not always align on specific issues. We know that happens. But that can lead to confusion to the public. They can become confused by that. So I just want to be sure you are aware that we are happy to share any positions we have on legislation with you at any time. And so if that would help us clarify any confusion with the public, we'd be happy to do that. And of course, possessory interests are a big topic, right? Because of the JPAs and all those issues that are going on. Statewide assessors are assessing these properties with possessory interest assessments. Bills have gone out, appeals have been filed. I think we might even have a court case pending that's not going away. So the legislature, we have not come up with a solution to this. And so there is a good chance this could get decided in the courts. But one thing seems very clear, the public, and especially those in the housing development world, are not aware of possessory interest impacts of what they're doing. And so it seems like we have some work where we might need to have some education here to make sure the public knows about this. This isn't going to be going away. We're going to see more complex possessory interest related assessments that have to do with housing as time goes on. So we can't just pretend it's not happening. We should really take some action to be sure people understand the consequences of what they're doing. And assessors are trying to implement the laws before them. And some things that we've had some definitions about what is low income, but not so much about what's middle income. So maybe we could get some assistance there. And because of the fact that these assessments are increasing in numbers, assessors have indicated a strong demand for more training and guidance on this topic. So hopefully we can work with the BOE to meet those needs. ADUs are really big now. I'm sure you see them around where you live, right? Development is strong. And the growth and popularity of this housing type is starting to challenge the traditional definitions of what is a duplex and what is a triplex. Because traditionally, we didn't really think about ADUs in that way. And so now what we're finding is this could be conflicting with previous legal interpretations of how we apply, for instance, Prop 19 inheritance benefits and base year value transfers, because in the past, sometimes it only applies to a portion of the property that has the homeowner's exemption. So a duplex, a lot of times, one side has the homeowner's exemption. But what about a house with an ADU? That's 2 living units, but it has one homeowner's exemption. So in some cases, we have to deny a portion of that benefit because of how we've interpreted this and the terminology of what is a duplex and what is an ADU. So I think this is a topic to explore further. Assessment appeals, I remember this came up last year at this meeting, and the training and makeup of assessment appeals boards is very important. I think it remains relevant. We should continue to work on that. And as these complex issues are brought forward, it becomes even more vital that appeals board members are trained. And speaking of training and development, this is a priority for assessors because you heard Assessor Rooney say we rely heavily on the Board of Equalization for training. And so as we've been able to fill vacancies and hire more, which is great news, the training needs are growing. And we have complex issues we need training on. I did a poll of assessors and, they're very overall satisfied with the offerings provided. However, they do have a list of needs, right? They do say, hey, we could use some training in these areas. In particular, valuation of intangibles and embedded software, Native American property assessments, possessory interests, timber production zones, auditing and accounting courses, welfare exemption determinations, complex property assessments such as mines, geothermals, carbon capture, and natural resources, and also continued guidance on Prop 19 implementation. But at the same time that assessors are asking for more training, they're also willing to help come up with a solution to that. And they're asking if there's ways to increase the ability for them to have certified staff, BoE certified staff, trainers on their staff, so their own staff would be trained or receive a certification from BoE to provide some training. And that would help take some of the pressure off the BoE to provide courses when the needs are growing. But also at the same time, you would be taking experienced staff, involving them in the course development process, and thereby upgrading that coursework and improving those offerings. And then finally, just a little something to think about is artificial intelligence, AI. It's all around us, and it's peeking around the door at what we're doing in appraisal and assessment. And so how is this going to impact us in the future? I mean, currently, the BoE requires that everybody who performs assessment, makes assessment decisions, valuation of property be certified. How will those requirements be impacted by the implementation of AI? What kind of oversight will there be, or will there need to be, or not need to be? And how will that be integrated into current regulations? But overall, 2024 was very active and challenging, and I anticipate 2025 will be the same. And I'm sure I didn't cover everything. There were so many important things that happened. I'm not sure if Jeff will be on the line or not. Maybe he'll add a few items to what I didn't get to, but I expect this kind of momentum to continue. But despite the challenges, we're eager to maintain our strong partnership with the BoE as we tackle the critical priorities before us. Together, we will continue working toward our shared mission to improve California's assessment procedures and laws for the benefit of all. Thanks again. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you this past year.
Thank you so much. Questions from members, Vice Chair, and Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just thank you very much for this, your presentation. You brought up so many issues. What do you think the answer is for Prop 19? Because there's so many challenges to it, and yet I'm trying to figure out, what is the priority? What do we try to attack first? we probably need some legal help in determining to what degree can you apply regulation to a proposition? Does it have to go back to the people, or is there regulatory authority to clarify things?
Well, I think in some instances, we probably could get clarification on how to apply the current regulation through examples, LTAs. I know previous LTAs that have been issued have given some examples of how to work through different scenarios. And I think if we collect from assessors the various Prop 19 issues they're seeing right now, maybe those could be put into additional examples that could be used to work under the current regulation. But the main issue we have is a lot of the rules are baked into the Constitution now. And what does that mean? It means that if you're going to change it, you have to go back and change the Constitution. So that would be a ballot measure. So
Very difficult.
there are, in the short term, probably the best thing is to try to figure out how to work through the legal challenges about answering those questions about how to apply the rules to make sure people are getting the benefit they qualify for. Outside of that, I guess it would be to figure out how to support an effort to change the law. I mean,
Right.
I mean, there are people who are already working on that, but we still have, in the meantime, we're going to have to process these transactions. And it's my understanding, any new law would probably be prospective only. And so we're still going to have this group of assessments to work with. And so when we're talking about these gray areas, it's possible assessors may not view them the same and could be applying the rules differently, not because they're intending to do that differently, it's just that they're left to do the interpretations on their own. They may not have enough legal counsel, or they may see it in a different way. So having the published guidance, not only does it help us figure out how to be consistent, but the public can then see how it's applied consistently.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there have been efforts by the board here to try to make changes to it. But I just think we need to work in a collaborative way. We need to know what you're thinking and what your priorities are, along with what we're talking about in terms of our priorities. Now, you had mentioned also
Can I do a
100.
follow-up to the Prop 19?
Yeah, please.
Before you leave Prop 19?
Mr. Vasquez.
Just a quick, thank you, Madam Chair. On the Prop 19, I think you mentioned in your opening remarks too, that, what takes precedence? Is it the probate or is it Prop 19 upon a death? I guess what's been past practice and what is practice moving forward? Or is it changed
So
from
it's a
county
little
to
bit
county on
of
this
all
one?
of that, because we have annotations about what is the date of the change in ownership. Those were all possibly done before Prop 19, those annotations, and so now we may have to interpret that a little differently. Date of death usually is the date of the change in ownership, but is it that the way this law is written, does that change from a legal aspect how that's viewed and applied because of the move-in requirement?
Exactly.
Because you may be legally not able to move in for whatever reasons, and so how does that impact these rules? So I think I see legally issues coming forward either through the court, or we're going to be able to figure out a way to administer it and on our own through legal research. But at one point or another, there's probably going to be court action that addresses it, but it's better to not wait for that.
How are you handling it now, though?
With our attorney, we're interpreting it with what the rules in place, but because there isn't BoE guidance on it, then we're left to use whatever guidance is out there for us. So if there were to be guidance issued that clarifies one way or the other, that's probably very helpful, especially for those who do not have counsel to rely on.
So for example, there's a death in the family, nobody legally owns it because the owner passed away, didn't have a will, didn't have a trust, so legally it gets kicked in a probate, the place is vacant, and there's still legal issues to deal with on the probate side before anybody really takes ownership, whether it's a member of the family or they put it up for sale. In the meantime, years go by, they're not paying the new assessed value on the market rate of that property until that gets settled, correct?
Yes.
But they don't get penalized at the end, do they? So this thing happens 4 years down the
In this case, they
road.
wouldn't get the benefit because they didn't move in within a year. So they're automatically not going to get the benefit because of the way that the rules are currently written in the interpretation. This may not be the place to have this discussion, but is it really the date of death in these cases, or is it the date the court says, here's who the owner is, and now you have a year from that time frame? So those are some of the technical issues that we're facing, and we need assistance in interpreting so that we all understand what rules we're operating under. Because just saying move in within a year is a simple statement, but that's not how in real life, it's not that simple, the way things happen with people's estates and properties.
And like, for example, in LA County as an example, and I know Jeff's not here, but we have somebody here representing him. They're so backed up, they're telling me that even if somebody puts in the claim and saying, there's been a change of ownership legally because the party passed away, but nobody legally owns it, and they obviously are not paying the new market rate property tax, they're still paying the old, but upon whatever is decided after probate, are they going to get dinged and penalized for not paying it for the last 3 or 4 years?
Oh, no, they wouldn't, because they'll get escape assessments. They'll get bills for all those years, and the problem with that, then, of course, is those are due within 60 days usually, so they're.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I know it's
Vice
tough-
Chair,
I'm sorry,
did
go
you
back.
have
I have other questions, but I'll wait for.
Yeah, I just
Vice
wanted to make sure that there is coordination with Ted Angelo on our side, because we're tracking bills at the BoE, and you're tracking 100 in this last year, right? So
We did over 100, yeah.
Okay, so I don't know to what degree we're coordinating on
Okay.
that, but I think that would be really helpful.
We can share that information about, we create spreadsheets and all kinds of ways to do this, yes, we can
Okay,
share.
all right, that's great. Thank you. Appreciate all of your work in the last year, and you raised a lot of issues. Going to be busy.
Great. And Mr. Vasquez, did you have further questions?
Just want to, you also mentioned security measures in your presentation, and I was just wondering if you could, I guess, dive into that a little bit more. What exactly are some of the issues that you're hearing in the counties?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
I thought you
Security?
said something in your remarks about security measures. I didn't know if it was dealing with property assessed values or if that was part of the AI. I guess it might have been, as you were talking about AI, the whole, oh, you know what? Here's what it is. What I was thinking about, maybe I put it in your, when you mentioned the AI situation, and I've heard this in LA County, and I don't know if it's happening in some of the smaller counties, where you're getting these scam folks that are literally coming in, and I don't know how they're doing this, but they're saying that there's been a transfer of ownership and literally taking homes legally from senior citizens who just don't have the wherewithal to fight it legally, and find out that somebody fictitiously got a notary to say that there's been a transfer of ownership, and now they're the owner, and these people are losing their homes.
Yes, and so from an assessor's aspect, the part about losing the home, there's not a lot we can do about that, but from what we do with the assessment, once a deed is determined to be fraudulent by the court or other law enforcement, when we get that official notification, we can undo that from the assessor's aspect, not from ownership as far as the courts are concerned. We have no power over that at all.
And I think LA County just started something, I got an email where you can you can register yourself, and anytime there's any movement or change in your deed, they notify you, which I think kind of helps a little bit.
I mean, as assessors, we're required to process recorded deeds. We have to process on intent, so we can't out of the gate just reject something unless we know we have some kind of proof that there's fraud. Now, in my office, we will hold a deed if somebody claims it's fraudulent until it's investigated. But we kind of have a duty to process recorded deeds.
Mr. Parrish, did you want to add on?
You can fight those, though. This just takes a legal battle, and you've got to have the money to
Here's
hire an attorney.
Here's why the mechanics. In Los Angeles and in Orange County, if there's anything that's put on your property, any sort of movement or quitclaim deed or grant deed, Los Angeles and Orange County sends a notice to the owner, to the owner's address. But other counties don't do that. It should be statewide.
The assessor doesn't know, right?
They know, I tell you who does it. Los Angeles does it and Orange County does it. Now, some other counties, so it should be statewide in all counties that every recorder by law should have to do what Los Angeles and Orange County does, and that is notify the owner when there's been any transaction whatsoever. I've gotten in the mail somebody's been, oh yeah, that's the trust deed. So you look into it. That the best thing is the warning, but there's a lot of counties, they don't do it. But in Los Angeles County and Orange County, if there's anything recorded, my register recorder sends a notice to the house, to the address of the tax bill saying, something has been recorded, item number such and such and such, and that should be statewide. It must be statewide, and it's not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Assessor Parrish.
Thank you. Any other questions for Assessor Nguyen? Mr. Schaefer?
Thank you. You know, we on the board are not really dealing with taxpayers and voters out there that have these problems. They come to you because you're dealing with them right where the ox is being gored. And they come to you, or their attorneys come to you. And if you're expecting all the wisdom to come from us, we're really expecting the wisdom to come from you that we can formulate. I'd like to see somebody who's really into this issue. I'm impressed with Mr. Torrey's presentation. I'm very impressed with your presentation. I think the key word is compassion that has to be here, and that's really not in the language of the legislature a lot of times when they're deciding what to do, what they may think is just a technical issue, and it's much more than that. It's a common sense issue, and I think common sense is forgotten sometimes. I would ask that your office have a spokesman on Prop 19 that can formulate what must be done, including Mr. Parrish's remarks that some of the stuff he's doing might be good as a statewide policy, and just suggest to us that we work with our Mr. Angelo and our other sources and get some legislation that does it. I think the legislation looks to us for wisdom on these issues, and we would have that wisdom if we had your input. So I will pay special attention to your input on this, and I expect it to be with compassion and with common sense. And as I pointed out earlier, I don't have much patience. I'd like to see it done, now rather than later. And I thank you so much for bringing it to us today. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. And did Assessor Tudor have a bit to add?
Thank you, Chair Lieber. John Tudor, Napa County. In response to Mr. Vasquez, many of us are now assessors and recorders. When I became the assessor in 1987, there were only 2 assessor recorders. Now there are 20-some or more of us. But we cooperate. Of course, I cooperate with myself, but we cooperate between our 2 offices to keep track of just what you're saying. Assessor Camacho, Assessor Recorder Camacho from Monterey County put on a wonderful program at our conference from the DA consumer fraud, real estate fraud investigator in her county. We have turned, in my 27 years as county recorder, we've only had 2 cases of fraud. Both of them were caught. One went to prison. The other person never lost their home. So it's not that frequent. There's a lot of infomercials out there scaring especially seniors into paying $1998 a month for what we do for them for free because they pay our salaries. So I do want to let you know, and I'm sure I speak for my colleagues, that we're alert all the time. We all have good relationships with our district attorneys, with our recorders, and we do our best to allay the fears. There are legitimate fears, but to allay the fears of seniors and others that something terrible is going to happen. We are there as a bulwark against that.
Thank you. Mr. Reinke, did you have further comments? Thank you.
So the system that we recently implemented was with the assessor in cooperation with the recorder's office. So the recorder previously would mail out a notice when anything was recorded on the property. The system we put in place in collaboration with the recorder's office is email notification. So you can now sign up with our office. If something's recorded on the property, then we'll send out email notifications. So it makes it much quicker than going through old-fashioned mail.
Question,
Yes.
do you have an email in each and every case? I would think there'd be a number of people that are not computer proficient.
You would have to register for the system, so we don't have an email for everybody in the county. We wish we did. But right now, it's a voluntary sign up for the service. Highly recommended.
Thank you.
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. Now, is that through the recorder, or is that?
It's with the recorder. So you can sign up through our office, through the assessor. We're tied in with the recorder, so we get the notification immediately, and then we'll send the email out to the taxpayer.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Now, is that an app that could be shared with other counties, or how does that work?
We would like to, and we've been working with other counties. It's system specific, so it has to tie in with a particular system, but we certainly have the template laid out and the, a system that is working right now, but it would have to be adapted to other counties.
I think Mr. Parrish has some comments to add on as well.
Please stay here because I have a question of you. You know, my wife owns property in Los Angeles County. Are you saying you don't send the notices out anymore? You don't have my wife's email. She'd never know. This is terrible, what Los Angeles has decided to do.
No.
I'm shocked.
They do both, right?
We do both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You do both?
Yes. And if you'd like to get
Well,
an email also.
the way I heard it, you think everybody has email. You don't have my wife's email.
No.
So depending on email is a joke. It should go to the address of the property. I'm glad you do both. Okay,
both. It does.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the difference is email is a lot quicker.
Yes.
That's why I think you're setting up this preference for those that don't have it. But yeah, because I remember over the years getting on a property, I had a mailer from you folks saying, hey, this thing, when you do a refi, for example, they shoot you a notice and you say, hey, did you know there was a change in your ownership? Well, not an ownership, but there was an inquiry on your property.
Yes, it's in addition to the mail-out system. So if you'd like, then you can provide an email address, and then we will, in addition to mailing, the
So it's
recorder will still mail out the notice, but we will also send an email, which is a
quicker.
faster method, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Any further questions for Assessor Nguyen? We're getting a lot of information out here. It's really good. And I wonder if, Mr. Reinke, would you like to come back up and provide information about 2025 for us?
I think Assessor Nguyen covered everything very well. We just hope to continue the good work that has taken place over the last year, including, working with your board and your staff. And I always like to add also with the assessor tutor, I've been in this position for 35 years and have worked with your staff, throughout those years and have always had a very good working relationship and collaboration. It's been a pleasure working with them. And I will leave it at that.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions for either of the commentators? If not, we're going to go to our 10-minute break now. And our clock time is 11:24, so we'll return at 11:34 clock time, which is a little bit different than the actual time. So we'll have a 10-minute break. Thank you. And we're going to be going on to a presentation on letters to assessors and a discussion about those. And this is item G, overview on letters to assessors, which will be presented by Mr. Dave Young.
Morning, Chair Lieber, honorable members of the board, and welcome assessors and all to our annual meeting here. So thank you very, very much. For the record, my name is David Young, Deputy Director of the Property Tax Department. So actually, I wanted to say thank you very much for allowing me to make the intro and provide an overview of letters to assessors and to kick off this discussion. So as you all know, on a monthly basis, I actually do give a update on letters to assessors to the board. And as of yesterday, we had 31 letters to assessors that were issued by the property tax department. And I think as of today, we may actually have a couple more than that. I think there are more. It grows. So with that, a letter to assessor, or what we call an LTA, is basically an advisory letter. And we've already heard mention of it.
Just pause for a little technology
No problem.
adjustment.
No, we're good. So the government code 15606 mandates the board actually provides guidance to assessors when assessing and to stakeholders in general. So, but specifically guidance to assessors. And the way we've done so is we've issued letters in the past. It started in the 60s. We wrote letters of guidance, and we had them out there. And about a decade later, about 1974, somebody came up with a really good idea of taking all the advisory letters we had and actually numbering them and putting them in a compendium so they can actually be referenced. So instead of just writing one-off letters to address certain issues, we pick certain issues that are germane to the assessment and administration of property tax in California, really topical issues, and we actually put them in a letter and we make them available for all to read. Initially, they were just that. They were just, as the name implies, they were letters to assessors. But over the many years, they've grown to being good guidance for all stakeholders. And we our primary focus is guidance to the assessors, but we try to make them so that they provide values to all stakeholders. So as I've already mentioned, as of yesterday officially, we had 31. I think there's a couple more. On average, we probably publish a little over 60 per year. I think this year we're going to be right around that same number. Actually, I have the numbers here. 2021, we published 68. 2022, 61. 2023, last year, 56. And I think this year we'll hit at least 60 somewhat. So they do many things. This invitation was actually issued by a letter to assessor, this meeting. So they actually make announcements for the board. They provide guidance as to how board interprets certain statutes, court cases, litigation, anything that is a new development in either assessment practices or even appraisal issues. We've already had some discussion about intangibles and needing guidance on that. So it does cover many, many things. And the way we get how these letters are to be done is, one, our agency, our property tax department, on average, gets about 500 phone calls a month on technical issues, on assessment issues, on whatnot. Our staff, they deal with it on a daily basis. They keep a pretty good record of what is being asked, how it's being asked, and what our answers are. And for those, we try to either make that information available. Once we develop it, the natural way is through a letter to assessor. It's a permanent record. It's on our website. Everybody can get to it. Assessors can get to it. And right now, our list of people who have signed up to actually receive a letter to assessors, it's transmitted electronically via email. It's a little over 4,000. So there's quite a community of folks that actually subscribe to it. So we have that compendium. It's available on our website. Once we publish a letter, typically it is on there, even if a law change happens and is superseded by a new law and we give new advice. The old letters will usually be there, but it will be annotated to say that this letter has been updated by another letter, and we'll give you a reference so you can trace the history and you can follow how the development of the law changes and whatnot through time. So with that being said, we have almost all of our letters available on our website. Some of them, they go all the way back to 1974. So some of those letters are not ADA compliant. We are in the process. All our current stuff, I believe, from the last 20 years at least.
Well, on her email, she said, yeah.
Excuse me, I think we have somebody who's remote who
No, it's November.
doesn't have their mic turned off.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not until November.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think they got it. So we are in the process, everything 20 years and newer, just about, we have all of that available. If you are looking for an older letter, we do have letters numbered all the way to 1974. If it's not on there and you can't get on our website, we actually have a PT web box there. You can shoot us an email and we will scan the letter and get it to you. So if you're looking to do some research and you're looking for our letters and it's not there because we haven't gotten to the point of remediating yet, contact us and we will get it to you. And there is a function on there. So with that, I think what we really kind of want to know is what do we got in the hopper? We've already talked about a couple of things. Ms. Christina Nguyen, CAA president, already brought up a couple of things. I just wanted to give you a look-see into what we're developing right now. Prop 19 is still very much an issue on the forefront of assessment and property tax administration in California. We actually have two LTA letters right now in drafting. One deals with the intergenerational transfer, and the other one deals with the base year value transfer. So both of those they're in the drafting stage, they're under internal review, and those should be out. I hate to give a good firm date, but they should be out shortly. And what those letters do is, as you well know, when Prop 19 passed, we started our rulemaking even before the legislation, the enabling legislation was passed. So we've actually had LTAs on Prop 19. I think in total the count for Prop 19 LTA is somewhere right around 60. So we have quite a few letters out there. But these letters that we're working on in Prop 19 deal with more of the applicable issues that come up after a couple years of actually the law being in place, the issues that you talked about. So what we've done is we have gathered a lot of the questions that come in through us. We've had county assessors call us and ask us certain things, and we've compiled them into a letter. So our goal is to release that to give a little bit more guidance on that. So Prop 19, intergenerational transfer, and also on base year transfers. So both of those are in the works. We have a couple of other letters out that are in development right now. One of them I will talk probably a little bit more in depth, and that has to do with the recent legislation that passed for AB 1579. That's electronic signatures. That'll be the next subject matter. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a history of how LTAs were developed. They were developed just to give guidance. How eventually in the 70s it became a compendium of all our guidance. And it's available on our website. We are still working diligently on providing more guidance, and we have a couple of things in the hopper. So with that, I turn it back for open discussion.
Excellent, thank you. Let's take questions from members first, and then we'll take comments and questions from our assessors. Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. Mr. Young, we don't have a physical address on our 4,000 subscribers. They're all email. But I imagine they'd be from all over the country because people all over the country own property in California and are interested in what we're doing. Is that fair?
That is fair and that is correct. So on our website, the ability, there's a button for you to hit if you want to subscribe, and it's a pretty easy process, and you can get it pushed to you via email.
Right. You know I'm one of your subscribers.
I'm sorry. I am one.
I'm trying to figure out what the relevance is of 1974 world to today. Back in those days, we were assessing everything at 25% of fair market value, et cetera. I suppose somebody's doing some historical research, but I can't see any economic relationship to today. I don't suppose that's relevant, really.
You are correct. It's 1974. It was pre-Prop 13. So the Prop 13 changed the assessment architecture for California in general. The other difference is that in 1974, very few folks had a computer system. Now almost every county has one. But the constancy in all this is basically the appraisal. The fair market value standards, that really hasn't changed a whole lot, except for the overlay of Prop 13.
I'm impressed with what you had to say about the Proposition 19 letter, how involved you are with that. I just want to emphasize that the key words here are to have some compassion with what we're doing, use common sense, and if there is a gray area, there is a quick way to get an answer by filing an action in the Superior Court for declaratory relief and then bringing a motion for summary judgment. And within 3 months or 2 months, you can get a decision of a judge. I just want you to be aware that's an alternative to maybe asking the Attorney General, who might take a year to get around to answering it. I'm very impatient, and we want to get things done right and done now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vasquez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Young, for a little bit of the history here. I just wanted to kind of put out there, especially to the assessors, hopefully that'll come up and share their thoughts and ideas, that, under the Board of Governance policy, the way this is set up, on the statute, the board members ourselves, really, we're ultimately responsible for the issuance of these LTAs and their content. And I'm just wondering, on the protocol side, it's usually the ED that'll that's required to provide or samples of what they're looking to put out before they go out, hopefully to try to catch some of these issues and hopefully to provide the best guidance to the assessors. But I'm curious, I guess, as we open it up, love to hear comments or complaints or concerns that assessors might have in terms of LTAs, the guidance that we have been providing over the years. Because I'm sure there's always room for improvement on this, and I'm just waiting to hear what comes out of this moving forward. Because I know in the past there's been some issues with some of the LTAs that have come out, and I'm hearing from some of the assessors over the years that sometimes they don't feel we're doing enough in terms of the guidance piece, or we're kind of pitching it back to them to figure it out. So I'm curious to hear from, and looking forward to hearing from the assessors and see what we can do to improve the situation. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Gaines?
Yeah, thank you, David Young, for your presentation. I'm wondering if you could just shed a little more light on the 500 phone calls that are coming into the BoE each month. Do we have any breakdown in terms of the nature of the calls?
We do. We have some general breakdowns. I know we do actually keep, or at least we used to keep a segregation of those that are Prop 19 related. And for a long time, many of those phone calls, on average, we're right around 6,000 a year, and it's still, the majority of them are still Prop 19 related.
Do we have a sense of how many are legal, going to the legal department?
Well, when they usually come in, they're a little bit of a mixture of all. Mostly, by the time they call us, it's usually an issue and a problem, and they're trying to get relief. So there is sometimes an issue of, is this fair, is this legal? But more often not, it's of application. Does this fit? Does this qualify? Does it not qualify?
Okay, so of those 500 calls coming in,
Yeah.
a certain portion are going directly to legal?
Well, the ones that are truly legal in nature, we will forward them to legal. But while there may be legal aspects to it, the majority of them are actually application. I have a home I inherited, we already talked about, when does my clock start? How do I qualify? Did I miss a deadline type issues?
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll ask you to stand by for a minute as we bring up our assessors to comment on the LTAs. Assessor Tudor.
Thank you, Chair Lieber. I hate to correct my elder, Mr. Schaefer, but actually went to 100% assessment in 1966 with AB 80, which was the legislature's attempt to stop assessors from having real flexibility in how they were assessing property. So it was AB 80 that did the 100%. And responding to Member Vasquez, the LTAs are vital. There are three main sources of information on the website: the LTAs, the annotations, which are, of course, legal opinions or letters written by the legal staff on various issues, and finally, the assessor handbooks. And even with 37 years in office, I'm referring to them all the time, and they're very helpful. And by the way, in 1974, Mr. Schaefer, I'd already been on the Board of Supervisors for 2 years in Napa County. So, but I just did want to say, this is part of what I was saying earlier today. Our relationship with the staff includes the historical of that. And if we find something in an LTA that may have changed that wasn't caught, we have a wonderful relationship with them to fix that. We don't find that very often, but occasionally we do. Thank you.
Thank you. Other assessors would like to comment on the LTAs. Anyone else? If not, thank you so much for the presentation on that, Mr. Young. And we have now item H, which is the overview on electronic signatures, and discussion also presented by Mr. Young.
Thank you again, Chair Lieber, honorable members of the board, and honorable assessors. So on this one, I actually feel I should have you guys up here. It is, after all, it is legislation that the assessors sponsored. So in order to modernize the property tax system, make it easier for stakeholders to comply to filings and whatnot, and to recognize each individual counties, that each individual counties are unique and differently resourced. There was a legislation that was proposed and actually signed into law as of September 12th of this year, and it's AB 1879, and it does a couple of things. The largest of which is that it basically allows for electronic signature. So under prior law, current law, the assessors can, for one type of filings, and that is the business property statements under, it's a 571, and it's under Revenue Taxation Code 441. You can actually accept it via electronic media. And the assessor has to tell the board how they're doing it, and the board gives them their okay, and that's an approved method of accepting that type of filing. The desire was to actually have that be applicable to more than just that one type of filing. It was to have them available, give that option for all board prescribed forms. And so right now, with that change in law, they actually added a new section to the R&T. It's section 168.1, and it amended the 441 also too. So what that amendment did was that, hey, if you now offered this type of electronic filing for any other of the board's forms, then you may accept the assessor has the ability to basically, if they offer that, then they have to take an electronic signature too. And the electronic signature is a little bit different than a digital signature. Digital signatures were already in place and functional even before this. But a digital signature is a little bit more stringent. You have to follow certain statutes. It's 16.5 of the government code, and all the rules prescribed by the Secretary of State. If you meet those requirements, a digital signature is good for any form that needs to be filed with a governmental agency. What this passage of this bill did, it was that expanded it. Its digital signatures are still good, but now you can file an electronic signature. An electronic signature does not right now have the same type of requirements as the digital. So with that, it's a great, in my opinion, it's a great step forward in making property tax administration in California a little bit easier, a little bit more, and just a little bit more fair and equitable throughout the state, and hopefully a little bit more uniform. It actually gives both the assessor and the taxpayer some leeway to some discretion. They can file electronic signature, the taxpayer can elect to do so, but they do not have to either. It's not a requirement. They can actually do it the old-fashioned way. So it just gives a little more flexibility to filing property tax forms. There's one more thing that AB 1879 did. It also not quite related to electronic signatures, but two filings that allow for bulk filings of certain documents. So if you meet certain requirements, you can actually send stuff in bulk to the assessors. So that is kind of, that in a nutshell is what electronic filing is, and specifically the provisions of AB 1879. So I'm gonna just give you a little quick update as to what we are doing in order to implement that. So there's a couple of things that we've already started on the property tax department. We started reviewing all our prescribed forms since now, depending on how it's implemented, they may be offered for electronic filing. The board has over 100 prescribed forms, so we're reviewing that. We're also reviewing that each form, there's specific language that's required by the new provision of law, the 168.1, and that language requires that it's signed under penalty of perjury, and so we're making sure all that kind of comports. And we're developing an LTA. We're developing an LTA, one, to explain and to and to put out the provisions of law that AB 1879 changed, the 441K, and also the addition of that new section in the RNT 168.1. And hopefully we are coordinating with the assessors on the acceptance of electronic signature and what we will basically approve. So all that is in the works.
Questions, Mr. Amron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Young, for your presentation and for all your hard work on this. I want to clarify, the government agencies are able to take electronic signatures in, but in order to adhere to the rules of an electronic signature, there has to be a third party that administers that electronic signature, such as Adobe or DocuSign. Is that correct?
Well, for this electronic, under the provisions of this statute that AB 1879 did, it expanded it a little bit. So right now, I know of at least 2 vendors that were already able to basically submit an electronic signature, but they were under a much tighter scrutiny, tighter requirements, and they fit under digital signatures. So you have electronic signature, that's the broad category. A digital signature is a form of electronic signature, and I know at least of 2 vendors that actually fit under that provision of digital signature. For electronic signature, so far, what we've been able to basically interpret from the new law is that it is a method of authentication specified by the assessor, and the board has to approve it. So there is no mention of a third-party vendor in there as the law stands today.
So does the board have its own tools and technology to allow for electronic signature on its forms, or do we have to go through a third party and that includes a processing fee?
Right now, we are working with legal, and we will engage our partners with CDTFA. Since the board now no longer has our own IT department, we will probably need their expertise in how to verify electronic signature. But that is one of the questions we are asking.
Thank you.
Of course.
Vice Chair.
Great, yeah, thank you for your presentation. I'm just wondering if maybe you could discuss a little bit about the impact on small rural counties of AB 1879, because my concern is that limited resources, limited personnel, to what degree are smaller counties able to integrate this?
I think that is an excellent question. I think the statute and the legislation, I think, did a very good job in contemplating that not all counties are resourced in the same manner and the same degree. And so there are provisions that not all counties have to adopt electronic signature. They have to do it if they take electronic media submissions of certain forms, of BoE forms. So I think you are absolutely on the right track. I think not all counties, I wish I had a magic wand and gave everybody the required resources to implement all of this, but I think this would be an excellent venue since we have assessors here, and perhaps they would be more than willing to share their view as to how and to what capacity
Absolutely.
they can implement.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Super. Mr. Vasquez.
You just answered my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you, Mr. Young. I'm an ex-prosecuting attorney, and I'm just wondering if anybody is dabbling with this electronic signature business in a malicious and fraudulent way. We tend to be the nice guy and say, don't do that, but it's a felony. And I'd like to know that we would be offended, and so offended that we would have the district attorney or U.S. attorney or whoever's jurisdiction is involved in the nature of the documents, look into it. I think we must act swiftly and sternly to send a word that this is a very important and sensitive part of public discourse, and it didn't exist decades ago, and we're going to be vigilant about it. And if you are trying to commit a fraud in the signing of a name, that's a prison matter. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I am never surprised at the good people do and the fraud people do. So I suspect that may be an issue in the future, but we will be vigilant and watch for that and pursue it with our resources.
Thank you. Well, your suggestion to invite up the assessors was a very good one. And maybe since this was a bill in 2024, we'd like to ask Christina Wynn if she'd like to come up first and talk about this bill specifically and the implementation more generally.
Well, as we all know, the world is becoming more electronic, and it seems like our world is kind of behind in the times a little bit. So this bill enables us in a variety of ways to adopt in our offices and also through our portal. So I think I mentioned that earlier. We received some funding to develop a portal to simplify the filing for taxpayers for some of their benefits. And so by having the ability to accept electronic signatures, that makes the portal more of a reality for being efficient, because can you imagine going online to file for something and then having to submit something else in writing? That doesn't make sense. So, really, this is our first step forward towards modernizing some of our processes and utilizing the portal to be efficient as we've promised to do. Now, in the individual assessor's offices, everyone's resources are different, but the bill language is fairly broad, and there may be other opportunities for smaller counties. Maybe a small county might want to come up and talk about that, to receive permission, approval from the BoE to use their methodology for a, quote, electronic signature. And so that doesn't mean that it would be a digital signature necessarily, which has a stricter interpretation. So I think, it's the start, and it is going to maybe bring up some opportunities. I believe there was also I don't know where Joaquin went. Oh, there was the possibility of, I don't know if it was included in the bill or not, about a fee coverage. So the bill did give the opportunity to cover the cost of electronic filing through a small fee. So that may be one way that a smaller county could have their costs covered, would be to initiate the fee to cover the cost of electronic signature.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Assessor Tudor?
It's been my day today. So in response to Member Gaines, most of your counties, not all of them, are represented by the megabyte system. We all, 36 of us, share that system. And that does give us the capability, working together with our vendor, to try and make those abilities to accept electronic signatures more accessible to us without any direct cost to us as an individual county. So I can't speak for the smaller counties that are not megabyte counties. I'm not exactly sure how megabyte would be involved, but this is the kind of thing I'm going to our elected officials meeting. Megabyte represents the assessor, the auditor, and the tax collector in their 36 counties. And we meet as an elected officials group every November. I'll be there November 19th and 20th, and I'll certainly be bringing that up, partially at your suggestion, to see if Megabyte can assist those smaller counties that are members of Megabyte. I do want to emphasize what Assessor Wynn said. This portal is very exciting, And the ability to have taxpayers and property owners throughout the state file not only their Prop 19 forms, but also their welfare and other exemptions, disabled veteran exemptions, electronically is going to be a huge benefit. And again, there will be people left out who don't have the ability, neither no computer skills or no computer, but it will take care of the majority of people. I deal with people all the time by email, and I'm finding very, very few people in the last 10 years who don't have some kind of an electronic way of corresponding with me. So I think, as Assessor Wynn said, we're catching up, but I think we're catching up also with our constituencies, many of whom are more electronically based than we are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Assessor Torres, did you have more to add on here? No? Okay, thank you. Anyone else who would like to comment on this item? Assessors, we'll have public comment in just a minute. I haven't forgotten. Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, that will conclude that item for us. And we'll go on now to our item I, which is public comment on all of the items that we've had discussion of. And we have one comment card, which is from Gina Rodriguez, principal of Ryan LLC.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. And you're receiving a picture of, sorry, my name is Gina Rodriguez. I am a principal at Ryan LLC, but you're receiving a picture of one day of our filing process of our 571Ls. One day, 900 pounds of mail. So this bill, I'm back on agenda item H, 1879 was very important to us because not only to advance the electronic signature initiative, certainly, because we have been talking about that for a few years since COVID, but also to allow for bulk filing. And why I'm showing you this is the U.S. Postal Service absolutely cannot date stamp, postmark each one of these envelopes. They don't have the resources to do it. So we, as a property tax practice, have to file these using the bulk filing method. And I very much appreciate the CAA accepting that amendment because we, frankly, were fighting penalties because some assessors, some tax collectors would not accept the bulk filing method. So hopefully this will clear up those 10% penalties in the future. And I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I am also going to pivot over to my colleague when you get to the phone. We're doing phones today, right? Ms. Teresa Sharp, who is the principal of our compliance practice and will explain the process to you. But I wanted you to see the impact of 900 pounds of mail in one day. So happy to answer any questions, but that's all I had today.
Okay, thank you so much. And I don't think we have any other cards. Mr. Schaefer, did you have a question?
Well, it's a very impressive picture of all the mail. It makes me wonder what the governor's mail room or the president's mail room must look like.
Thank you. So we'll go to our AT&T operator. And operator, if you would please let us know if there's anyone on the line who would like to make a public comment under item I.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to make a public comment, please press 1 then 0 on your telephone keypad. You may withdraw your comment by repeating the 1-0 command. If you're using a speakerphone, please pick up the handset before pressing the numbers. Once again, if you have a comment, please press 1 then 0. And it'll be a moment before the first comment. And once again, if you have a comment, please press 1 then 0. We're going to the line for Teresa Sharp. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, distinguished board members and assessors. Thank you for your time today. I just wanted to cover a few things with respect to the process that we undertake and several taxpayers undertake with respect to large amounts of filings that have to be made for personal property tax returns in particular. The facsimile and scanned or electronic signatures are legally enforceable and they are secure in today's world. It's actually a little more difficult to forge a scanned or facsimile signature in comparison to a written signature. The signature is authorized by the individual who's responsible for preparing and filing the returns. And one of the challenges that we're still seeking some assistance with is those requirements for wet signatures that are on the forms. It takes a lot of time and processing effort associated with producing wet signatures on forms. We actually, as well as other taxpayers who are large, use software applications that replicate the forms and allow us to apply those facsimile signatures or electronic signatures to the forms that are produced. But when we have to wet sign forms, we then have to turn back around and scan in all of those forms before we can actually get them ready to mail so that we have a record of the final product that goes out the door. So this takes a significant amount of time and effort to assemble and get that ready to go, a lot of time and effort to sign, and then get those things ready for mailing. But those signatures are valid signatures. They're signatures of the individuals who are responsible and legally binding on those individuals under penalty of perjury, as was stated previously. If there's a recommendation that we could make with respect to this, it would be possibly considering having a form available for the wet signature to be held on file by the assessors and the collectors, allowing for the opportunity to be able to validate it, similar to like a signature card at a bank, but then allowing that facsimile or scanned or digital signature to be applied to the forms to allow them to proceed through their process. And those are the topic points that I have for the board and for the assessors today. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sharp. We appreciate that. And so we've come to, thank you, moderator. I'm assuming there are no other calls?
There are no.
Thank you. So we've come to the point of, Mr. Tudor, did you want to make another comment? Please.
Yes, under public comment, I just wanted to add to what Ms. Rodriguez and the other woman said, and that is that Napa County has had online business property filing for, I guess, 10 years now. About 60% of our 571Ls are filed online. There's no paper whatsoever. And the statewide system, ESDR, also allows property owners to file electronically. So it's not that we're completely in the dark ages, and I would certainly recommend that Ryan LLC work with the counties that they work with to see if they can begin online filing instead of any kind of paper, online filing, of course, is approved by the BoE for each of the counties that use it, so that filing meets the criteria. There is no signature, essentially. We give them a number which identifies them, and therefore, once they respond to that number, and only they have that number, we know that that's the person who filed. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware that there is an extensive, I would say probably maybe 40 to 50% of all business property statements statewide are filed electronically now without any paper or signature.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that comment. So we've come to the point of our adjournment. And Mr. Vasquez, did you have a comment?
Yeah, just before we adjourn, I think, David, you kind of mentioned it in your remarks earlier that LTAs now that obviously moving forward and listening to some of the comments we've heard from assessors, you're already thinking about some possible new LTAs. And I'm just wondering if those include what we heard specifically. The two that jump out at me is ADUs, how to handle ADUs, and I guess the welfare exemption.
The welfare exemption, we're actually doing a little bit of a cleanup LTA right now. It has to do with AB 84 that was passed. So we're doing a little bit of a cleanup there. ADUs is something on our radar. We don't have an active project on that just yet, but it is on our radar.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of the whole issue. You know, I think it was.
We'll turn on your microphone so that we
I'm sorry.
pick it up.
I wasn't aware of the issue that the chair raised from the assessors on. You know, it's a whole different issue.
Yeah.
Different definition between a
Right.
duplex and ADUs now.
ADUs, yeah. No, yeah, it is an emerging issue.
Thank you.
Definitely. Okay, well, we are at the point of adjournment, and I wanted to announce to folks that we'll have lunch available for everyone. It's going to be just across the walkway in the building that's directly across from us. And so we do hope that you'll join us there for the lunch and the small tabletop discussions. Mr. Schaefer.
I wanted to mention, we lost a police officer who just passed away a few days ago, just of natural causes, which was very shocking. We had another rather dramatic thing in San Diego happen this past month. We had a young man on a high-speed chase at 90 miles an hour, and law enforcement chased him and then decided it was too dangerous and they would not pursue him. But the next thing that happened is he broadsided a police vehicle. The driver, police officer, died instantly. His partner went to the hospital, is now out, thank God. They had a huge funeral in San Diego. Law enforcement from all over the West Coast showed up, 21 gun salute. It was Officer Austin Tar in San Diego, and I want to extend our condolences to him and his family as we did for the other officer. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Well, and please do convey the board's condolences to the officer's family. Thank you so much, and we appreciate all of our professional staff. They'll be also joining us for lunch, so we'll have some one-on-one and maybe 10 or 8-on-1 kinds of conversations, but we so much appreciate all of our assessors and assessor staffs who've been able to join us here today. We, on behalf of the board, can truly go out to our constituents and say that there is a transparent, fair, and efficient system of taxation in California. So thank you for the work that you do every day, and we'll see you straight across the walkway. Thank you so much. We'll stand adjourned. Oh, and members, I would say that our next board meeting is an informational hearing on Tuesday, October 29th, 2024 at 10 a.m. at the Mealy State Office Complex
Through the
in
chair.
Sacramento.
Just if I could briefly, I wanted to thank you because you've hosted lunch for everybody. So really want to thank Chair Lieber for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.